The average age of cars on the road today is approaching 12 years. Historically, that number has been around 7.
I think it absolutely is a year to buy an EV, both new and used.
It's not that EVs are declining or anything like that. It's the rate of growth is slowing.
It's one thing if the cars are out there with no passengers, but they're still out there, right? I thought they might have gone with a human co-pilot just to begin with. I think that would be in my opinion, be the right way to sort of redeploy.
All that and more. So let's get to it. At the closing bell on Friday, Tesla stock was down almost 3%. And the downward trend didn't stop there. In the after hours, it has fallen almost 0.5% further, sitting at 191.13. The protective puts have done me justice thus far.
Let's talk now and turn our attention over to the auto industry. Alex Vetter is with us, CEO of Cars.com. So at this point now, are people back? Are they back to buying cars and such? There was a time where the price range of new and used cars was so inflationary. We saw people maybe sort of putting it off because it was too big a purchase. Where do we stand on affordability at this point?
Certainly, affordability has been a top theme, but the average age of cars on the road today is approaching 12 years. Historically, that number has been around 7. So these are machines, they're going to wear down. Consumers want to buy the latest technology. Price pressure has been a theme throughout 2023, but we're finally seeing automakers and dealers respond, and you're seeing declines in both the new and used car price points that are available in the market today. Now, a big story that's always out there is where's EV demand? We're actually seeing EV demand soften, and the price of EVs is dramatically coming down, dropping almost 20%. Again, this doesn't impact my business because we're asset light. We're not a participant in selling cars. We're more of a marketplace model, but it certainly impacts the industry. And automakers are addressing this by introducing lower priced EV inventory that meets the consumer at the price points they're looking for. The little secret about EV demand is it correlates more to gas prices more than anything else, Nicole. Like, you can track gas prices in the US, and that really is what mimics EV interest in this country.
I guess it's good to know that all the things that impact the EV used car market is the same thing that impacts the used ICE vehicle market. An influx of new inventory will put downward pressure on the existing used market. But this gas price association with EVs, I'm sure there's some of it. A lot of people make motivated decisions by what they see at the pump. I really didn't care about the gas prices per se, but I did like saying I can get 600 plus miles on a single tank in my hybrid. What drove me to a Tesla was not the prices at the pump, however. It was running into an individual that owned one of the vehicles at the bar. We sat down, we had a conversation about it. My fear, uncertainty, and doubt was alleviated as I talked to him. If this motherfucker do it, I know I damn sure can as well. Lo and behold, I sit inside a Tesla and realize everybody's gonna want to be in one of these. It's like driving a computer on wheels. You see how my mind is nowhere near gas prices anymore? Anybody that asks me about the Tesla, they're not asking me about how much does it cost to charge it. They're asking me, where do I charge it? How do you like it? Wait a minute, you don't have an internal combustion engine at all? After I answer the 20 questions that they have, which have nothing to do with gas prices, I hit them with my favorite line. I'm never going back. My goal is never to persuade that individual to get inside a Tesla or a battery electric vehicle. It's just to explain to them how I'm never going back to an internal combustion engine. The choice is up to them.
Now, a new report by Cars Commerce says despite some waning demand for EVs, there is still interest in that market and that prices may become more affordable this year. Here with more on the report is Rebecca Lindland, Cars Commerce Senior Director of Industry Data and Insights. Thank you for joining us. So give us some context here. Given some of the price cuts that we've seen from some of these EVs and some of what we're seeing in terms of like reduced production, is this the year then to perhaps buy an EV? Are the prices attractive enough?
I think it absolutely is a year to buy an EV, both new and used, because we're seeing growth in inventory and supply of new EVs actually on the dealer lot, which is a big change from past years when it was sort of this haute couture sort of feel. Now it's ready to wear. You can go and get an EV and drive it off the lot. We're also seeing increases in used electric vehicles. So you definitely have choices now, and you have an opportunity to test drive that vehicle before you make the commitment to purchase.
Becca, this of course comes at a time where we're seeing a little more hesitation from drivers to make that transition to electric. What are you finding about how much consumers are willing to shell out for an EV, whether it's new or used?
It's really interesting. We actually are seeing increasing interest on cars.com, our marketplace site, for electric vehicles, but we're actually seeing twice as many buyers shopping for hybrids and plug-in hybrids. And I think part of this is due to the fact that consumers really are interested in plug-in technology. They're interested in getting better fuel economy, but they don't necessarily yet feel comfortable going to a full electric vehicle.
I totally understand this. I too had a stepping stone. I had a hybrid, not a plug-in, mind you, but a hybrid vehicle. In a two-car household, I felt comfortable making the jump to a battery electric vehicle, and that was back in 2020, where the infrastructure might have been a tad bit lighter than it is now, considerably. Fast forward 4 years, at least in the great city of Houston, the infrastructure problem is no more. Superchargers popping up all over the place. This allowed us to ditch that other internal combustion engine and stick with the better product.
Instead, a plug-in hybrid provides that middle ground and a great transition. You get used to plugging in your car, just like we got used to plugging in our phones. This way, a plug-in hybrid allows that transition for consumers.
Is it just about the infrastructure, though? Are you finding that costs, now that they're coming down, is also generating more interest? And what's that price point?
It certainly is both pricing and infrastructure. Consumers are continuing to be concerned about where are they going to charge this, how much range is there. We encourage consumers to look at installing a home charger if they're able to.
Ding, 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 ding! Tell her what she's won, Johnny! Your mother. Right. Are there enough charging stations en route to my destinations of choice? But all of those worries evaporate as soon as you're able to charge at home. I can't expect the majority of the public to understand this. That's why I'm here to educate. Continue to leave your concerns and questions in the comments below. Professor Hustle will get back to you in a timely manner.
Talking about Rivian and Lucid, these are upstarts in the EV space. Are we starting to see more and more of a divergence between the big established names like a GM, Ford, Stellantis, and then some of these upstarts that have really tried to shake up the EV space?
Yeah, that's actually the kind of the main question we've been getting all week, especially after those results is, thematically, there seems to be now a divergence between the kind of pure play upstarts, if you will, and the legacy OEMs. And we're starting to see that, the legacy OEMs, they do have an advantage here. They can produce ICEs and plug-in hybrids, which are now getting a lot of interest along with full electrics. So yeah, and I do want to say, one thing about the outlooks that we saw from Rivian and Lucid, et cetera, from this pure play guys and also the legacy guys is it's not that EVs are declining or anything bad. It's the rate of growth is slowing. And we're starting to see the early adopters who grabbed a very expensive Rivian or a Lucid for that matter. Those guys already bought a lot of those vehicles. And now the mainstream consumers coming in to buy EVs, they're kind of more price sensitive. That's where a lot of the demand is coming from now. And that's really what the legacy OEMs, the Stellantis, the GMs of the world are selling. So it's also a function of that.
Early adoption versus mass adoption. I get it. Early adopters willing to pay a little bit of a premium to get the latest technology. You have to open up the total addressable market if you want demand to continue to grow. I get it. What I don't get is how the legacy OEMs who are selling these lower priced EVs are going to benefit. They're not making a single dime off of any of the vehicles that they sell. At least the likes of Rivian is working toward profitability, where the legacy OEMs are running scared and hiding behind their internal combustion engine cells. Granted, Stellantis hasn't learned this just yet, but this will be a next verse, same as the first situation with Ford and GM. Just like everyone else, startup, legacy included, Tesla makes this look way too easy. Eventually, the internal combustion engine and hybrid side of this story, the bottom's gonna fall out. Economies of scale are going to impact their businesses detrimentally when those ICE sales plateau and eventually collapse. I have no problem with them making money off of the stepping stone or their ICE business. My problem with Legacy Auto lies that they think that this is going to happen by magic, that EV profitability is just going to happen over time without any effort on their part. That's what baffles me. On the road to profitability, you need to be producing the best vehicle you possibly can and as many of them as you possibly can. There's no room for error.
General Motors is getting ready to resume testing of its Robotaxi unit Cruise in select cities. That's according to Bloomberg. Yahoo Finance's Press Romani and joined us now with more. This was a tricky endeavor for them when it was going on. That's why they paused it. So sort of contextualize why it would be a big deal for them to resume.
Well, they had to resume at some point, right? There's too much money on the line. They had to somehow get back in the game here, and according to Bloomberg, they're going to do it on a smaller scale. Cities like Dallas and Houston, something like 10 cars or so running, but no passengers, right? That's the wrinkle here. They're going to have them just kind of out in the wild. They're doing some stops and things like that. But Cruise, for its part, had a statement saying that they had not set any timeline for redeployment. They didn't deny the story, but they didn't say that this is actually happening, and that they need to gain the trust of authorities and the public before they kind of continue. And I think that's kind of a big deal, right? Getting the, because it's one thing if the cars are out there with no passengers, but they're still out there, right? I thought they might have gone with a human co-pilot just to begin with. I think that would be in my opinion, be the right way to sort of redeploy.
I'm inclined to agree. Cruise, Waymo, I think they serve a valiant purpose. Automation is the future. Now, I need to get into Panda and get AI student driver a little more miles. I don't have version 12, which is kind of disheartening, but I'm going to do my part in making sure our AI student driver is getting as many miles as it possibly can. Just know, when our student driver sheds that beta tag, Cruise and Waymo, nice try, boys. Let Tesla show you how to do this, son.
Yeah, GM has to get this going because it's sort of a big albatross for them.
And any reason you think they might be targeting, because I was reading through it, they're kind of targeting Texas specifically, right? Is that maybe kind of looser regulatory backdrop? Is that part of it, perhaps?
I'm not sure about that, but it sort of makes sense in terms of maybe there's just less human sort of density than San Francisco or Los Angeles. I think Houston and Dallas probably, Houston, I mean, even in Houston, it's just kind of like sparse urban sprawl. So maybe that works for them there.
Cross must not be driving in the city of Houston very often. Pit traffic on 45, 59, Midtown, downtown against anywhere in the f***ing country. If they're not ready, the city will eat these vehicles clean up. In conclusion, I find it odd that it's okay for the auto industry to talk about the macroeconomic environment, but the EV part of that business, that's taboo. The concerns for range anxiety and the charging infrastructure reemerge as headwinds against EV adoption. Tack on the stability of gas prices, and there's just no reason to buy an EV. Right? And Legacy Auto has the advantage on these pure play EV companies? That's how short-sighted Wall Street really is. Rivian's push to profitability, if successful, is what's going to endure them into the next decade. While Legacy Auto is going to rely on their internal combustion engine and hybrid cells, and by magic, their production of battery electric vehicles is going to run profitable? Just like GM and Ford, Stellantis is gonna find out this isn't as easy as Tesla makes it look. And Cruise to resume Robotaxi testing here in the great state of Texas? More power to them, but they're probably gonna want some people in those vehicles. Don't forget what that sign said when you came to the state. Don't mess with Texas. That's all I got for you today. Be easy. Purr.